All right, hi everybody. In this video, we are going to go over how to pick stocks to buy. There is a lot of information and details that can go into something like this. So we'll kind of cover some of the key things, and this is something that we'll also just touch on to some degree in pretty much every video. Here we're starting off on the home page like usual. Again, you guys are going to see quite a bit of this. For those of you that may remember, when we started the week last week, my account was down around 36,000. I think maybe even $800 or $700 at that point. We ended the trading week above $38,000, as you can see here. So it was a good week. So let's first kind of take a look at some of the positions that I currently have. You can see here the ones at the top are going to be some of the top earners. Most of these are all relatively new. I kind of do a lot of swing trading on a lot of stocks, just simply meaning that I oftentimes don't hold them that long. I will sell or I will set a stop loss, and that stop loss will trigger. It'll sell my shares. I will oftentimes buy back into that stock on a dip. But again, you can kind of just see some of the holdings I have here. Virtually everything I hold is almost always going to be in the green. Here at the bottom, I have Boeing, which is my only actual stock that's in the red. I'm down $4.38 on Boeing. I only have 2 shares. It's been really flat. I'm probably going to go ahead and just sell this so I can have that money to put into something else. And then down at the bottom, you can see I have Bitcoin. I do have a little Bitcoin. It has been good to me. I have traded it fairly well in the past, but it's not something I hold a lot of. It is very volatile. It can go up and down quite a bit. So that's something I wouldn't necessarily advise unless you are open to some volatility. All right, let's go to our watch list. We have our Facebook beginning traders here. And there's a couple of stocks that we'll take a look at on this list that are good trades. So we'll start off by kind of looking at some of these that we know are good buys, what makes them a good buy. And then we'll get into also a little bit more of how to find stocks and pick them from, say, a screener or something like that. All right, let's start with looking at Apple. It's one that everybody's familiar with. It's a good stock to buy. Let's start there. We'll go ahead and click on Apple. And here we're on the daily chart, as you can see, which is right there. The daily chart is about a 3-month look at that stock and what the prices have been doing over the last 3 months. Really, the number one thing that we're looking for on these charts, and starting with this daily chart or 3-month chart, is that it overall shows an upward growth over those 3 months. And that's exactly what we see here with Apple. So that is a great sign that that stock is doing well, and that, you know, if you're looking to buy in on it, a lot of times we like to choose those days where it's down a little bit or in a dip or on a red day. That you're confident that it's going to continue to go back up. And you know, if you're buying on a down day, that, you know, it could be a good time to buy in because in the next day or two or soon, it's going to continue to climb and you'll start making money from that dip, rather than potentially buying at a high point and then you have a dip, say, the next day or something along those lines. And chances are, you know, if you're picking the right stock, it's fine. You're going to make money anyway, but you'd obviously rather buy in and start going up from the beginning. Let's take a look also at the weekly chart. The weekly chart is a 1-year look at that stock. And again, you really ideally want to see that it is, you know, continuously climbing throughout the year. That doesn't necessarily always have to be the case. It doesn't have to have been phenomenal for the whole year, but if it's not, you definitely want to see that it's been good at least for those last 3 months. So keep that in mind. Here with Apple, we actually see that kind of towards the beginning of the year there was that dip right there. That was actually the onset of coronavirus. A lot of stocks are going to show that, some a lot more so than others, and we'll probably see that as we take a look at some others. The next most important thing to look at after the charts here is the volume. And you really want to see a high volume. We mentioned this in a prior video. Apple has its last day of trading had a volume of 114 million shares. So that's the total number of shares bought and sold. I always like to see a absolute minimum of about 2 million shares, or a volume of 2 million, and the more the better. So that's kind of a bottom number for me. Really what that kind of means when you're picking your stock is, the lower that volume, potentially the more volatility that stock is going to have. The higher that volume, the less volatility, and probably the more stable that stock is going to be. All right, let's go back to, in fact, actually, let's scroll down for a second. So number one is going to be the chart, making sure that you see good growth. Number two is going to be the volume. Number three, I kind of would just lump together a few things into that category. That's going to be news. Is there any current news about that stock that can affect it one way or the other? Is there negative news? Is it going to go down? Is there positive news? Do you expect it to go up? The comments, we've kind of touched on this a little bit before. This is actually even just users' comments, users' ratings. If I click on bullish down there, I can put my vote in. So that's something that you can glance at, but I wouldn't take much into that. Analysts, this is a good reference, but again, nothing is tell all really. The two most important things are going to be your chart, seeing growth, and volume. The rest of this stuff, it can be helpful, but I would never put all my weight into one of these other factors that we're putting into category 3. But analyst ratings, can be helpful. These people should know what they're doing. Their opinion should have some value to it. As you can see with Apple, they say buy. Some say strong buy. The most falls into the buy category, and you can kind of just see how the rest of those fall into place. And then next we have press releases. That's something that we could probably put into another video. I don't spend a lot of time with the press release category here. Some people really like to buy dividend stocks. Again, that's kind of for another video, but that's where if you have shares of that, they pay a dividend like every month or every 3 months, that sort of thing. Financials. If a stock already meets those other two criteria that we talked about, good growth over the last 3 months is a minimum, and strong volume. Financials, yes, of course they are important, but they may not have as much weight as you might think in all cases. Normally what I just kind of like to see, I like to take a quick glance through the financials, but the balance sheet is one I find to be maybe a little bit more helpful. Ideally, just want to see that, that company has ideally more total assets than they do total liabilities. And you can kind of see how that falls out there. And then lastly is the profile. That's just going to kind of tell you, what that stock is about, or what that company is about. I'll let you guys kind of take a look at some of that stuff a little bit more on your own. All right, let's go back to our list here. Let's look at Tesla. Again, it's just another one everybody should be familiar with, so we'll take a look at this one next. But again, number one, we got good growth. This is the weekly chart, as you can see, so 1 year glance at Tesla. It's been doing well. That's a great sign. Let's go to the daily, so the last 3 months. Same thing. We see good growth over the last 3 months. So we know that, hey, if we buy into this stock and it's on a down day or it's having some down days, chances are, it should continue to go up. And then, of course, next, taking a look at that volume, Tesla had their last day of trading a volume of 20 million. So, very good. If we wanted to see what their average was, you can see right there, Tesla has an average daily volume over the last 3 months of 43 million shares bought and sold per day. And then you can go again and take a look at the news and some of those other things. Let's take a look at another stock here. Let's look at Macys. We just looked at two stocks that were really high price stocks. Let's look at Macys. It's at $12.88. It's also in a completely different sector. Not that Tesla necessarily and Apple were, but Macys is a retail store, completely different than the other two. But again, we do see that the last 3 months have looked good for Macys. Nice upward trend. They have a good volume of 19 million. And let's take a look at their weekly or 1 year. Now this is good to note. So here you can see that kind of towards the beginning of the year, Macys had a huge drop. As some of you may guess, that is because that was the onset of coronavirus. So a lot of stocks, especially in the retail industry, because things were shut down, the travel industry, so hotels and airlines, all had a huge drop. Their charts are all going to look a lot like this one here. So that happened to be a good time to buy in because a lot of these stocks were, doing really well prior to coronavirus. If you look here, Macys was at $18.57 before coronavirus. So we kind of could expect as things recover that it should make its way back up to that. It's currently at that $12.88. You can see that I have some shares down there at $10.80. So already doing not too bad there. I think I just picked up Macys probably earlier in the week, last week. Okay, let's go back again. And let's pick one more. Let's look at SunPower, just because we have been talking about SunPower in some prior videos. So here's SunPower's yearly glance there. You can see that they have a nice upward trend. Let's take a look at their daily chart. So the last 3 months, again, SunPower has been doing well with a nice upward trend. Again, we can feel pretty safe buying that stock, expecting it to continue to go up. All right, so once you have had the time to go through and you have looked at stocks just like we just did, you've found them to be good picks. What I normally will do is I will have my list just like we have our beginning traders list here, and I will wait and see, hey, are any of these stocks having a red day or a down day? That's usually the days that I kind of like to buy in. Because again, my expectation is that stock is going to continue to climb. So I want to buy in on a dip if possible. That way I'm likely to start making money right off the bat. That stock is hopefully going to go up the next day, and I'm going to see immediate gains. And plus, hopefully your thought is that when it was down on that red day, it was stopping at or creating a new support level, just meaning that hopefully it won't really go back down past that again. So it's kind of a safe point to get in on that stock. Now, finding these stocks, we really just talked about picking them. Finding these stocks is a whole nother video, but I'll show you guys quickly. If you click on markets down here, these are going to show you some, I guess you could kind of call them preset screeners. Screeners are something where if you wanted to, you could create your own screener and you can put in certain criteria, like you want it to be at around this dollar point, you want it to have this amount of volume, and you can choose your stocks based off your own criteria. Here, these are kind of in a way preset screeners. This one are the most active stocks. You can also choose different criteria there or parameters. You can see that one has volume. Percent turnover range, for example. You can click on those and then, kind of go through the factors we just talked about to see if they are good picks. Hot EFTs, we can keep scrolling down here. I do like to look at top gainers. You can see that you can look at 1 day, you can look at 5-day gainers, stocks that have done well over 1 month. You can look at those. and see if there's something that's doing really well in the industry, and maybe you want to buy in on that and watch for a down day. Top losers, kind of the same thing. These can be a little bit more iffy, so I do like to look through these lists and see if I see any known names. If I see a known name that, hey, I think the stock overall should do well, and it had a really bad down day, I want to look at that. Maybe I want to buy that the next day. Best performing industries. This one can be kind of nice to look at if you say you want to buy in a certain sector or industry like renewable energy, or the tech industry, or food and tobacco, as you can see there. But if you click on that, it'll just take you to and you can change how you want that order to be, but the ones that have been doing the best, scroll through those, and then see if something looks good to you. But hopefully, again, you guys have found this video helpful. For those of you that still need to set up an account, I will put a link in the description below or in the comments. I've been using Webull for all these videos, so if you do like the way that it looks, it is free to use, free to trade from. There are no fees. And if you click on that link, you'll get some free stocks. But hopefully, again, you guys have found this video useful. You've taken something from it. If you have any questions or there's something you'd like to see in a future video, again, feel free to put that in the comments below. Thanks again for watching.